Hey everyone, welcome. Get comfortable, and let's get into tonight's Reddit stories. Imagine someone screaming at you that you don't deserve your own child, and then, a few years later, expecting you to show up and celebrate theirs. And when the whole family quietly picks a side, do you stand your ground or go anyway just to keep the peace? Am I the asshole for refusing to go to my sister-in-law's baby shower when the rest of the family is following my lead? This all started not long after my brother married Ruby. At the time, everyone seemed to really like her, and my older sister and I were both in her bridal party. Their wedding was about 5 years ago. Not too long after that, they started talking about trying for kids, and they were having infertility issues. Ruby was really upset about it, and it got a lot worse when my older sister, who was 26 at the time, got pregnant. Ruby started getting snappy and mean toward my oldest sister, and everyone tried to be really mindful of her because she was struggling. When the baby was born, Ruby didn't send anything. Then I got pregnant my senior year of college. It was an oops baby, and at first I only told my mom because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was a heavy drinker at family events, and when I suddenly wasn't drinking, my grandma joked that I must be pregnant, and my face totally gave it away. That's how everyone found out. I hadn't planned to tell the family like that. Ruby basically completely lost it on me. She yelled at me about how I don't deserve a kid and called me a bunch of names. My mom tried to get her to stop, but Ruby yelled at her too, and told my mom she deserved the stillbirth she had. The whole thing was horrible. When I gave birth and posted pictures online, Ruby made a post saying some people don't deserve kids. She's never apologized. Now Ruby is pregnant and she's having her baby shower. All the women in the family got an invite. I talked to my mom about it and decided not to go. My mom's also not going, and everyone seems to be following my lead. We all RSVP'd no, and my brother called me asking me to come. I told him no, and it turned into an argument. He says his wife has been crying about being hated by the family and wants everyone to make up. I told him that's not my problem and this is her fault. He wants me to just suck it up and come anyway and has texted me multiple times about it. I know that if I don't go, no one else will, especially since my mother hates Ruby after that argument. Edit, because people asked, no, we probably won't have a relationship with the baby if nothing changes. I already don't allow my kid near her. I have a strict rule. If you're a dick to me, you don't get access to my kids. My sister has the same rule. My mom probably will not be a grandparent to that child either. She's not going to put up with someone she hates just to have access to a kid. She's not that type of person. The top comment goes straight to the harshest part of the story. Ruby told OP's mom she deserved her stillbirth and said OP didn't deserve her own child. That commenter says Ruby can cry about feeling unsupported all she wants, but nobody owes her their presence after that, and they label OP firmly not the asshole. Another highly upvoted take focuses on the brother's role. He keeps talking about everyone making up, but the commenter is asking, where's the apology? Where's the accountability? You can't just skip straight to reconciliation without any attempt to repair things, especially after public posts about who does and doesn't deserve kids. A third top comment calls out the double standard. They ask what OP's brother did for OP and her sister when their babies were born. Just because he's the husband doesn't mean he gets a pass. His wife treated both sisters terribly and never apologized or tried to make amends, and the commenter says that's on both of them. What do you think here? Does OP have any responsibility to show up to the baby shower for the sake of family? Or is cutting contact the only reasonable boundary after what was said and done? If you were in OP's shoes, would you go or would you stand your ground and skip it? Let me know your verdict in the comments below. You tell a friend, use anything in the kitchen, why? While she's cat-sitting. And you come home to find a prized, irreplaceable teapot ruined with soap and scratches. Now she's furious that you want her to pay for a $500 replacement. Is this just a misunderstanding or a huge boundary violation? Am I the asshole? My friend ruined my Yixing teapot, and I want her to replace it or give me $500. When I went to China, I bought myself a Yixing teapot. It's a clay, unglazed pot that gets seasoned the more you make tea in it, kind of like a cast iron pan. Because it's unglazed, you cannot wash it with soap or any rough sponges. You're supposed to clean it with hot water and then let it air dry. That's it, nothing else. So here's the issue. I left for a work trip and my friend watched my cat. I paid her. I told her she could use anything in the kitchen. My Yixing teapot is not in the kitchen, and neither are any of my fancy loose-leaf teas that I use with it. I have a normal kettle in the kitchen for guests to use. I came back and found the Yixing teapot in my sink, and it smelled like soap. It also has multiple scratches on the inside. I called her, and she told me she used it because she loves the tea I make with it. Then she washed it with a rough wire sponge and used soap. She said she didn't know where my sponges were and didn't want to put it in the dishwasher. I tried to fix it and I couldn't. Anything I make in it now comes out tasting like soap, and the scratches are just getting bigger with every boil I try. It's ruined. I called her again and asked her to replace it since she ruined it. She told me to just clean it, and I told her I have tried. She agreed, and I sent her the teapot from the same store I bought mine from that was the most similar. It's actually cheaper than the one I bought in China. It's about $500. She called me, pissed, after I sent her the link and refused to pay it. She claims I should have told her not to use it. I pointed out that it was behind glass and I didn't think I needed to. I asked her to pay again, and she is pissed. Should I just cut my losses? The top comments are overwhelmingly on the side of the teapot owner, and a lot of people are focusing on one key detail: the glass case. One highly upvoted commenter says this is clearly not the owner's fault, because the teapot was enclosed behind glass and there was already an alternative kettle available in the kitchen. Their point is that make yourself at home, or use anything in the kitchen, doesn't suddenly give someone permission to go digging through display cases or private storage. They even compare it to having a personal item like a vibrator in a drawer. Just because you tell someone to be comfortable in your home doesn't mean they're entitled to use every single thing you own. They argue you shouldn't have to list out every expensive or delicate item and explicitly ban people from touching them. Another top comment is baffled that anyone would think the friend couldn't have known better. They emphasize basic common sense. Who takes something out of a glass display case and then scrubs it with a wire brush? They say there is basically no scenario where you'd see an item in a display case and think, yeah, I should take this out and attack it with a metal scrubber. Even if it were something like a rusty kitchen knife, which you might actually clean with a metal tool, you still wouldn't just grab it from a display and go to town on it. To them, that combination, display case plus wire brush, is just obviously wrong. A third commenter points out that a lot of people in the thread seem to be ignoring what was actually said. The friend was told she could use anything in the kitchen. The Yixing teapot was not in the kitchen, and it was in a display case, which makes it pretty clear it wasn't meant to be a casual use item. In their view, a decent friend, after realizing they'd ruined something like that, would immediately offer to replace it without needing to be asked. They say that's what they themselves would do, and that the friend refusing to pay and getting angry about the cost is what really makes her look bad in this situation. What do you think? If a guest or pet sitter ruined a specialty item like this, especially something kept behind glass, would you expect them to pay for a full replacement, even if it's $500? Or should the owner have been more explicit about what was off limits? Let me know your thoughts and your verdict in the comments below. Imagine letting a heartbroken friend live with you for free for 8 months, and then realizing their bedroom and bathroom look like something out of a horror movie. When they call you a nag just for asking them to clean, what are you supposed to do? And when you finally snap, how far is too far? Am I the asshole for kicking out my friend, who I let live rent-free for 8 months after his room and bathroom became a biohazard, and then telling him, no wonder your ex broke up with you in the heat of the moment? So for context, I'm 28, my friend is 24, and about 8 months ago, his girlfriend broke up with him. They'd been together for 5 years, so it hit him really hard. I live in a small 2-bedroom apartment, and after thinking about it for a bit, I offered to let him stay with me rent-free. He still had to pay for his own food, utilities, and anything else he wanted. At first, it was fine. He didn't leave his room much and mostly kept to himself, which I expected. But around the 6-month mark, his room and ensuite just became absolutely disgusting. His room smells so bad you can faintly smell it from the kitchen. I checked his room, and he's got piles of Uber Eats bags and an actual pile of garbage bags in one corner. And his ensuite is even worse. His bathroom is a disaster, with black mold growing in the shower corners, on the shower head, and on the window. There's hair everywhere, toothpaste splattered all over the mirror. The toilet sometimes isn't even flushed, and wet towels are left on the floor until they reek. As it's gotten more and more filthy, I've been gradually telling him he needs to clean it up and get himself together. Then yesterday, he told me I have to stop nagging him like his girlfriend used to. And that comment really got to me, I'm not gonna lie. I immediately got so frustrated that I kicked him out while yelling at him about how filthy everything is. When I threw him out, I shouted, "No wonder your girlfriend broke up with you if you live like this." I'm honestly not proud of what I said, but I refuse to enable this kind of lifestyle, especially now that it's affecting my quality of life. I'm fine with him continuing to stay here, but I told him he needs to hire a cleaner to come in and clean everything up, or I'm throwing his stuff out by the end of the month. As he was leaving, he told me I'm a terrible friend and that I should have more empathy. And while I do understand that he's struggling, it's been 8 months, and I feel like he's starting to take advantage of me. Reddit did not hold back on this one. The top comment says straight up that this friend is just gross, period. They point out that OP gave him 8 months of free housing and, in return, got mold, rotting trash, and a toilet that sometimes doesn't even get flushed. In their view, that goes way beyond depression and into what they call feral behavior. They're especially stunned that he had the nerve to call OP a nag in OP's own apartment. The "no wonder your ex left you" line might have been harsh, they say. But if you live like that and expect no consequences, reality is going to hurt. Their stance is that OP is not a charity or a crisis center and shouldn't feel bad at all about kicking him out. If the friend wants empathy, he can start by learning how to use a trash bag. Another highly upvoted commenter says OP is not the asshole and even goes as far as saying they'd sue him for damages. In their opinion, OP isn't being nearly mean enough considering the state of the place. A third commenter also says OP isn't in the wrong and looks at it from a boundaries and emotional labor angle. They say OP agreed to help and offer care, but once that help started being taken for granted and OP got punished for enforcing boundaries, that's on the friend, not on OP. People often assume emotional support and caretaking are free and limitless, but they're not. Setting limits or stepping back isn't selfish. it's necessary. They argue that relationships only work when boundaries are respected, and if every no is met with guilt or accusations, that's manipulation, not genuine need. From their perspective, OP's reaction was proportionate to how they were treated, and that's accountability, not cruelty. What do you think? Was OP justified in snapping and threatening to throw his stuff out if he doesn't get a cleaner? Or did that "no wonder your ex broke up with you" comment cross a line even after everything? Let me know your verdict in the comments. Am I the asshole or not? And how you'd handle a roommate who lets their space get this bad. Imagine you hop on a quick Zoom call about a bachelor party, and instead you get hit with a full-on PowerPoint pitch for a 4-day Vegas blowout that'll cost you more than 3 months' rent. What are you supposed to do when your own brother expects you to go thousands of dollars into debt for his big weekend? Am I the asshole for stepping down as best man because I can't afford my brother's bachelor party plans? I'm a 26-year-old guy, and I'm supposed to be the best man for my older brother, who's 29, next month. I love him, but he has always had champagne taste on a tap water budget, and he's obsessed with projecting a certain lifestyle on Instagram. Last night, he called an emergency Zoom meeting with the groomsmen to talk about his bachelor party. I figured we'd be talking about renting a cabin, grilling some steaks, maybe hitting a local brewery. Instead, he shares his screen and starts going through an actual PowerPoint for a 4-day VIP bender in Las Vegas. The plan is, we all split a penthouse suite. We book premium bottle service at 2 different nightclubs, and we rent exotic cars for an afternoon. After the call, he emails us a full cost breakdown. My share of the weekend, not including my own flights or any gambling money, comes out to just over $3,500. And to make it worse, he also added a mandatory squad uniform to the budget. He wants us all to buy matching maroon velvet blazers and wear this insanely tacky, oversized novelty roulette watch so we look like absolute legends walking across the casino floor. I literally cringed reading the itinerary. The crazy part is, while he's demanding his friends max out their credit cards to fund this influencer fantasy, he's notoriously cheap when it comes to his own money. His fiancée has mentioned before that he spends a ton of time hunting for the absolute cheapest stuff online, and that he recently ordered bulk groomsmen gifts from Alibaba to cut costs. So it feels really weird that he's totally fine asking us to spend this much. I called him privately after the meeting and told him there's absolutely no way I can afford a $4,000 weekend. I work in logistics and I'm trying to save for a house. I do not have room in my budget for a trip like this, especially on short notice. He blew up at me. He said I'm not supporting him, that this is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and that as best man, I should be helping make it happen. Now my parents are telling me to just put it on a credit card and deal with it later because it's your brother's wedding. I told him that if this trip is mandatory, I might need to step down as best man because I genuinely can't afford it. Am I the asshole for drawing that line? I feel like I'm losing my mind. Reddit was not impressed with the whole "just put it on a credit card" attitude. The top comments said that if your parents are so insistent you go into debt, ask them which credit card they want you to use, specifically theirs. If it's really that important, they can put the charges on their own card. Another popular take built on that. Tell your parents that if they think this is such a necessary once-in-a-lifetime thing, they can pay your share. One commenter even joked, "Tell them it's your son's wedding," flipping the script on how casually they're treating thousands of dollars of debt. And a lot of people were stunned that your family is encouraging you to go into serious debt for a party. One commenter said the idea of pushing someone to max out a credit card for a bachelor weekend is wild. They compared it to their own experience. giving their little brother $500 as a wedding gift and him being incredibly grateful, and said it sounds like your family's priorities are completely backwards. What do you think? Is stepping down as best man the only reasonable move here? Or should OP be expected to suck it up for his brother's once-in-a-lifetime Vegas fantasy? How much is too much to ask of a wedding party? Let me know your thoughts, and if you've ever been in a similar situation, share your story in the comments. 8 friends, 1 Airbnb, and a last-minute just stay for free offer that somehow turned into a demand for cash a few days later. If a friend insists you crash with them and then suddenly sends you a bill, are you actually supposed to pay? Or are they the one crossing the line? Am I the asshole for refusing to pay my share of the Airbnb after my friend offered to let me stay for free when I said I couldn't afford it? There was this big event happening in the city, about an hour and a half away by train, and 8 of us were planning to go. One of the guys, Dan, suggested we book an Airbnb and split the cost 8 ways, which would be about $70 each. I've honestly been pretty bad at saving money, and I'm trying to cut back on my spending, so I told everyone up front, like, if you guys want to do the Airbnb, go for it. I'll just take the train home after the event. I made it really clear from the start that I wasn't in for the Airbnb because of the cost. After the event ended, I started saying goodbye to everyone and told them I was heading to the train station. Suddenly, everyone's trying to convince me to stay at the Airbnb with them. I kept saying no firmly because I was trying to save money and I was going home like I'd planned. Then Dan specifically said something along the lines of, "We've already ordered it anyway. Just stay for free since we're going to pay regardless." At that point, I wasn't going to argue with a free place to crash, so I said, okay. I ended up sleeping on the floor because there weren't enough beds, but I made this makeshift sleeping bag out of blankets and pillows and just dealt with it. A couple of days later, Dan messages me asking where my $70 is for the night. I was pretty confused, and I reminded him that he literally told me to stay for free, and that was the only reason I stayed. He then said he was just trying to be nice and was still expecting me to pay my share anyway. I told him straight up that I'm not paying anything. I would have taken the train home if I'd known I had to pay, and he knew that, because I'd said it multiple times before the trip. Now he's calling me a cheap user, saying I'm taking advantage of him, and that if I were a good friend, I'd pay up because it's only fair. I feel like I shouldn't owe him a cent. He made the offer, and if he didn't mean it, he shouldn't have said anything. Plus, I slept on the floor, so clearly the Airbnb wasn't even really set up to include me anyway. I'm not trying to scam anyone. I genuinely planned to go home by train and only stayed because he offered it for free. Now he's acting like I'm the asshole. Reddit was pretty unified on this one, and a lot of people focused on how OP should handle the situation with the rest of the group. The top suggestion was to screenshot Dan's messages asking for the $70 and share them with the whole friend group. Commenters think the others probably have no idea he's trying to collect money from OP. The idea is to calmly explain, "I only stayed because you all said it would be free, otherwise I'd have taken the train." And then add something like, "In the future, I'll just head home after events. Sorry for any misunderstanding." People think that approach both clears OP's name and lets the group see what Dan is doing. Another highly upvoted comment pointed out that Dan might be trying to get OP to cover his own share. They suggested posting in the group chat something along the lines of, "Sorry if my staying put extra financial stress on everyone. Dan has been asking me for the $70, but as I said, I don't have it. I wasn't trying to take advantage of anyone. I only stayed because he said I didn't have to pay. Next time, I'll just take the train home." That way, OP is transparent and polite, but also firm. And one commenter didn't mince words about Dan's behavior. They quoted his line about, just trying to be nice while still expecting money, and called him not just in the wrong, but a manipulator and a liar for offering something for free and then trying to charge for it after the fact. What do you think? If a friend insists you stay for free and you change your plans because of that, do you owe them anything later when they send a bill? Should OP stand firm or pay to keep the peace? Let me know your thoughts and your verdict in the comments below.